So Caroline, before we jump in, do you want to just share a little bit about like your journey into nutrition and health and why you became a nutritionist and your passion?
Yeah, definitely. So, thank you, Nikki. I started life, kind of my professional career many years ago as sort of 14, 15, 16 year old, and I started modeling. And I did that for 3 or 4 years. I wasn't as successful as Nikki. I do not mind saying that, but I did do, I was in that industry and there was a lot of value placed on my body shape and the way that I looked. And then I then went into something completely different, which is the pharmaceutical industry. And I worked in that industry for like 15, 16 years. Within that time, I worked with mental health. I worked with cardiovascular teams in theatres, instructing on cardiovascular implantation, all sorts of different things. And I learned a huge amount. But what I saw continually with allopathic pharmaceutical medicine is we're always treating the symptoms. We're never ever looking at the root of what is truly going on for people. And that's what I love a lot about what Nikki does, is it's working with the root, the belief. And then there's also the other side of that, which is the physicality that is playing out. So I decided to retrain. And I had my daughter 12 years ago, which was an incredible experience. But for the first time in my life, I put on weight and I couldn't lose it. And I started binge eating and restricting. And that's actually at the time when I met Nikki, and it was incredibly, incredibly painful, and I couldn't stop. Um, and I went to a nutritionist one day, and she did a range, and I'd seen 5 or 6 doctors because I had some other things going on. And I saw this nutritionist, and she did a range of bloods that none of the doctors were doing. And she found out that I had an issue with my thyroid, which was actually triggered by stress, but it was one of the driving factors to the binging. Yes, there was an emotional aspect for sure, but there was also a physical aspect. And I see this a lot with my patients at the moment that come with me for emotional. There is emotional eating, but often hormones, endocrine, thyroid, estrogen. There's so many things that is driving it. And I thought, you know what? Had I never been and seen this nutritionist, I might not have ever got over it. And so that really, really inspired me. And I retrained for 3 years. And before I even started training, I'd gone on sort of little mini courses, which is where I met Nikki. And that's kind of the short story of our time together. But we have been thinking for many, many years about how we can collaborate, because I really feel that this work that we're going to do together is going to be so powerful. Because as women, I think now more than ever, our feminine energy needs to come forward on this planet right now. And when we're stuck with worrying about our weight, worrying about our health, and not feeling empowered about that, that holds us back. And so I'm really all about helping to bring back forward the best version of ourselves.
How do you bring back that feminine energy? So I think what we'll do is I'll answer that first, and then Caroline, if you want to answer that from your side. So things that I've learned in my life, and this is really interesting as well, actually, to even have Caroline here, is I am so inspired. Can we just like raise a hand if you feel that Caroline looks beautiful right now and you're inspired by her? Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is something about feminine energy, is that feminine energy is not jealous of other women. Feminine energy is inspired by other women to tap into your own feminine energy. So when I'm here in London, and I remember I was staying with Caroline last October, and then I went home, and suddenly I found myself wearing like just white t-shirts and throwing my hair up. And every time that I'm back, I'm like, oh, right, okay, Caroline's like, she's going to put the things in and this, and it inspires me to show up more for myself, not for anyone else, but more for myself. So I would say that's number one, use other women as inspiration. And we're going to get to that in this next week for UTP. Number two, and this is something that a lot of you struggle with, ladies, slowing down. Slowing down, because what happens is we try to go, get fucking everything done, take care of the kids, make sure the husband drives, the exact way you want him to, make sure that the lunch boxes are there, make sure the teachers are doing the thing, make sure your parents are acting the way, right? It's exerting your energy and you're not giving yourself that space to rejuvenate. So one, boundaries. Boundaries are feminine's best friend. Two, dressing up for yourself. There is a reason that I have talked about buy the dress with a few of you who have taken other programs, because when you wear beautiful clothes, it inspires you to better action. Feeling good in yourself inspires you to do better to the outside world. But when I talk about slowing down, it's not just, okay, I'm going to go, sit down for 10 minutes. It's really taking a look. Like I know, I'm just seeing, I don't see her here right now, I don't think, but Caroline, who in one of the chats just messaged, she just got back from holiday and got sick. So why do we get sick when we come back from holiday? Or why do we get sick when we're on holiday? That's because, and Caroline, you can go into this much deeper than I will right now, if you want to. But when we're, especially as women, we're constantly in this go, fight or flight, sympathetic, cortisol-inducing adrenaline system. So when you go on vacation where you're like, oh, I feel sexy and I feel good. Like there's so many women that have fertility issues and then they just went on vacation and somehow got pregnant. What? Right? Or they struggled with IVF, and then the second one came a lot easier or in a natural way. That's because your body stress literally will wreck everything. Your hormones, your organs, I mean, everything head to toe. And so the slowing down is every single day, ladies, checking in with your 5 love languages cheat sheet, checking in with your self-love list. Like I don't give you all of these exercises for you to do it like homework. I give it to you so that you can embody it. So that's my long, short answer. Caroline, passing it on to you.
No, yeah, I'm going to take from there one of the big things, and we're going to teach this a lot on the course, is about the parasympathetic versus sympathetic nervous system. And when we are in the sympathetic, the fight or flight, that is very much in the masculine energy. And part of slowing down puts us into parasympathetic. And that is so important on so many levels. But things that we're going to teach you and is, if you're in your sympathetic, you're preparing to fight. Your body doesn't know it has got a deadline at work. It's preparing to fight. And if you're going to fight, you need food. So you're far more likely to overeat if you're stressed. And that's from a physiological level. You are far more likely to gain or hold on to weight. Because if you imagine, if you're just sat down at your desk and you're feeling stressed, your body has released a load of cortisol, which has liberated a lot of glucose from your stores, from your muscle, but you're not using it to run from a tiger. You're sat at your desk. So when you're stressed, it's like having an internal Mars bar. We always tend to consider what we're consuming on the outside, but actually stress is the number one when we connect it, not only to weight, but also to our health. And as women in our feminine energy, we need to feel really, really balanced. So stress really, really does bring about issues with overeating, undereating, and holding on to weight. But it also has a massive impact on our sex hormones, which are sex hormones are what has put us into that feminine, beautiful, attractive, like that, you know, I think I've been reading a book at the moment about, it says we're like an egg. The egg in the womb doesn't go and find the sperm and do everything. Everything comes to her. And we are like that egg, and we need our sexual hormones, our estrogen, our progesterone, our testosterone to be in balance, to be that magnetic feminine woman. And if we are stressed, cholesterol, which is a fat that we all know about, either makes our stress hormones or our sex hormones. It doesn't make both. So if we're stressed, we are robbing ourselves of our hormones that bring us into our feminine energy. So I think one of the big things we're really going to focus on is bringing into balance and getting into that feminine, do less, but actually achieve more, because that's what I found since I started doing this
100%.
course. I'm like, shit, how did this happen? I'm actually getting more done.
Yes.
So
Caroline,
yeah.
quick. So spot on. And actually that was the message in one of the chats that I wrote today about doing less, meaning I'm slowing down. I'm focusing more on myself as the top priority. Interestingly enough, is allowing me to achieve more with grace, with ease, with joy, with magic, with pleasure. And suddenly it's like being at the hotel this weekend. I'm like, oh my God, I took all the, like I was checking out. Like this is actually quite funny. I was checking out, about to check out. I'd gone for a walk, come back, and I'm like, shit. I have to film the bathtub. I can't not film the bathtub. So what did I do? I filmed the bathtub. I put all the bubbles in it. I did the salts. I sat there for 5 minutes with my video camera going, thoroughly enjoying it. But that's the thing with slowing down, is your creativity will start to come back. And when your creativity comes, you actually make more money. You call in more. This is the whole thing that we talk about. Pluck the weeds, plant the seeds, water it daily. So Caroline, quick question for you. When a woman is stressed, what are the first things that you, like in someone's labs, what are the first things that you notice where you can say like, yep, I know that you are 10 out of 10 stressed without even asking her, that the labs are showing?
So one of the beautiful and I love it. One of the key labs I do, which is called an adrenal stress index, because a lot of women say, when I see them, I'm not more that stressed, actually. I'm okay. And especially A types that are quite in their masculine, because they're just used to do. But like, that is because that's your baseline. That is what you're used to. But this adrenal stress test shows your cortisol levels throughout the day, what it is when you're waking, what it is midday, what it is in the afternoon, what it is in sleep. And I can see sometimes, and very rarely actually, somebody's cortisol is where it's supposed to be throughout the day, their stress hormone. Quite often what happens is it's high, but long-term stress will see the cortisol as low. And that's when you really start to feel knackered, because you're actually not, your adrenals are kind of like, oh, I've pumped out this stress hormone for so long, I am knackered. And it's an incredible test to do, because what it will also do is, if you're sleeping poorly, often cortisol has a peak. It peaks in the morning and it gradually goes down your stress hormone throughout the day. It has a circadian rhythm. But often when we wake up in the night, it's because cortisol's peaking. You know, if you wake up with a jolt in the night, that's probably cortisol. And so that's one of the key things that I will see. And that's amazing, because there's so much we can do to help people with their sleep and bringing their cortisol level down, with nutrition, sleep, movement, mindset. So that's one of the key ones.
Supplements as well that we've talked about. And I want to, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, my love. Keep going.
Two more that I think are really key, or three, is testing your sex hormones, your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone. But with the thyroid, because the thyroid is our master butterfly, it's a butterfly shaped gland that sits here, and it's a really big, it's like the master gland of the metabolism, and it's highly sensitive to stress. It's highly sensitive to caloric restriction. because it's there for your survival. So it says, okay, I'm not getting enough food, I'm going to slow the metabolism down. I'm stressed, there must be some sort of survival issue going on because it's still wired for caveman times. Okay, I need to go into survival mode. I need to turn down her metabolism. And that's when people start to put on weight because they've been stressed and the thyroid is turned down. Now, often when we have bloods done, a doctor, unless you see an endocrinologist, will test TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, and T4, which is inactive thyroid hormone. And they go, oh, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. Your thyroid's great. But what they don't often test is T3, which is active thyroid hormone. And that can often be, if you've had a long-term stress or other issues, low, and it doesn't get picked up. So for instance, I was tested for 2 years and everybody told me my thyroid was fine, and it was not. And then the last ones are looking at blood glucose and your HbA1c, which is your blood glucose control over 3 months. Because if you're stressed all the time, you are continually liberating your glucose store from your liver and your muscles, and therefore you're having an internal Mars bar all the time, just releasing sugar all the time. So it can really have an effect on that. So I would look at the blood glucose, fasting blood glucose, HbA1c, and also fasting insulin, which again we're going to talk about on the course, but that is your fat storage hormone, highly affected by stress.